Okay, this is a video talking about my album Imperfection in Perfection. So where to start? Well, we'll start with the title. It first swam into my head back when I was recording Chronomedy in 2020, and it stayed lodged there for 5 long years until it was time to make it, which has been just recently. So let's look at that title and why I wanted to use it. So it's the same way that I perceive my own music. If we take a concept of something like a tree, like what a 5-year-old would draw, it's sort of like this shape. Yeah, everyone has an idea in their head of what a sort of, I don't know, the perfect symmetrical tree looks like, or what a concept of a tree should like: trunk and branches and leaves. But then when you look into nature, nature has, it's not perfectly symmetrical and everything nicey-nicey. You know, there's infinite divergences and differences between trees, relentlessly all over the planet. And for me, this is far more interesting than if everything was just perfectly symmetrical. It makes life worth living. Those imperfections are sort of more perfect. They make a greater perfection than just having everything perfectly symmetrical and nicey nice. So yes, so I saw that in my own music as well. I'm much more interested in doing things that are a bit off the wall, or exploring. Basically, I love to explore and do things that are that surprise me. When I hear, it's like, what about doing this? Oh, that sounds weird. So I like that. Yeah, so that's where the title is. I think it fits the album quite well. So I had the title in my head. I had a very tumultuous time in my private life, and it was time to bring this music up. And in fact, one of the first lyrics I wrote was, "When the pain rises to the surface, it's time to play again." I knew deep within me that this was, scrabbling to get out, and it had to get out, and now was the time to do it. So how I first started was I wanted to get into the flow of things, and this actually came from listening to, I think it's Cause of Death Obituary, and they've got a very sort of, at the end of one of the tracks, they've got about, I don't know, a couple of seconds of synth, it just goes and then into the next track. So this is sort of the inspiration behind that. I wanted to have every other track as a sort of interlude, because I enjoy making soundscapes, and I thought it would be quite a nice way for the album to be structured. So my first step of getting the music down was to gather all my different keyboards and stuff, and luckily for me, my old man has a great deal of keyboards and whatnot as well, so it was just getting all the different instruments together and taking my little 8-track recorder and just layering stuff up, just having fun basically. I think after about 2 or 3 days of doing that, I'd got what I wanted. So that was down. I would say then the next stage was the artwork, because I like to have something to inspire me. Now, nearly everything that's on this album has come from the subconscious or dream world. It's another dream that I had. I think I just finished reading the Holy Bible cover to cover and writing my own religion at the time, so it's the sort of dichotomy between good and evil, your left and right hemispheres of your brain, or whatever you want to call it, the different decision-making processes. So each eye on the cover represents that. And then the chain is meant to be around the wrist of a hand with a paintbrush, and in the case of the cover, it's painting a nebulae in the background, so that fits in with my pseudonym and whatnot. In my head, when I jumped about it, was all like this massive Baroque painting, but when it came through my noble hand, it turned out that way, which is fine. It was cool. I like how reality changes can often change things unexpectedly. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse, but that's all part of the process. So then I had the synth tracks done, I had the artwork done, and I like to put that on my desktop background so it's always there, sort of for inspiration. Now when it came to the other tracks, I did something on this album which I've never done before. Usually I start with a guitar track, so I write a song on the guitar, and then I structure everything around that. So that's the skeleton of the song, and then everything else is built up off that. This time I wanted to do things differently. I'd already enjoyed making the sort of soundscapes immensely, so I decided that I wanted to write everything on keyboard first, which dramatically altered the song structures compared to my past albums. So yes, I wrote down some sort of dark chords. Nearly the whole album, apart from I think maybe the last 3 songs, was pretty much done in a day. It just, when I had the keyboard down, it was like just going with the flow. Oh, that felt right. That felt right. This is cool. Right. Another stipulation that I made in my mind, because I've been listening to a great deal of classical music at the time, was to have 3 repetitions, so a beginning, middle, end that would repeat, choruses or whatever you want to call them. So for every song you'll notice that there will be a repetition of the beginning, a middle and the end. So it's usually 5 segments, 3 the same and then 2 different bits on either side of the middle. That's how every song is on this album. So that was another thing that I sort of stipulation I had set myself before I wrote this. Anyway, so I'd get my chords down, everything. I don't bother editing anything or making sure it's all quantized or any of that crap. It's just down straight away. Whilst the ideas are flowing, get them out, get them down, and then later on you can go back and touch things up or change things that aren't quite right. That's definitely for me the best way is when the subconscious is flowing and those ideas are coming out. Just let them come, just get them out, get them recorded, because that is probably one of the hardest bits, is just remembering and grasping those moments and getting them down into reality, taking them from the ether, whatever you want to call it, the subconscious, and getting them into the conscious world to stay. So once I'd got those down, I got the structures down, it's time to tidy everything up and program in all the different drums. I use I believe it's pronounced Machina software, or I called it Machine for ages, but I think the Germans say it's Machina, which is an amazing piece of kit, and there's a wide panoply of sounds on the sound banks. So for each track I started off with I think there's 16 different. This isn't including the keys themselves, the synth tracks or the keyboards. This is the drum tracks. So 16 different sounds, and I started off with some sounds I'd selected. I think from Chronomedy, or maybe from a slightly later one. Maybe it was from Cognitive Dredging. I can't remember. Anyway, I started off with that. So I'd program all the drums for a track, and then when I came to do the next track, I would change out half the sounds. Okay, so there's like a sort of cohesiveness between the different tracks. Obviously the tracks on the album didn't end up coming out exactly in order, but throughout the album you will be able to notice some of the same samples on the different tracks. And I think that's going to be something that I'm going to continue to do, because I just love exploring different sounds, and I really wanted to make a conscious effort for it to be in no way, it's never going to be as good as a real drummer, but I really wanted to utilize the fact that it is a drum machine and can do things that that are humanly impossible. Like I have on the album. You'll be able to hear that quite easily. So I got the keyboards down. I got all the drums programmed. The next stage was to get the guitar down, which I find very stressful. Well, I did at first because I hadn't played for a very long time. Just getting everything tight. I am not a very accomplished guitar player. You know, there's guys on the internet who's just wouldn't even you know, consider me a guitar player at all, but I do really enjoy in doing it, and I have my own style, and I think this is something that is really important, which I always struggled with before. It's like, oh, I'm not good enough, not playing technical enough and all the rest of it. Because I'd written everything on the keyboards, everything is just sort of simple chords to find out where they are on the guitar. So the guitars were really simple, just following the sort of yeah, the chords that I had on the keyboard. And of course, because you know the way that I am, I love extreme metal, so it sort of had the black metal guitar sound coming on, and yeah, I think that definitely solidified it as a Grandfather Nebulous album rather than a I don't know, electronic exploration purely. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing that. This is the first album that I've just because of my circumstances, I'm no longer able to sort of turn a guitar up full volume, so everything was done straight in, which is the first time I've done it. But yeah, I'm pleased with how it sounded. You know, like I said, I'm not a perfect, immaculate guitar player by any stretch of the imagination, but I do enjoy playing. So I got all those things down and added in the sort of extra squeals and whatnot, figuring out where all the notes were that I'd written on the keyboards. So that was that section done. There's no bass on the album. I don't think it needed it, not with all the different sounds that are going on through the drum programming and whatnot. It's just another frequency that you know, I'd have to try and sort out in the mix. So there's no bass on this, and I'm quite happy with that. I don't think you miss it. Maybe I will add bass guitar on future things, I don't know. But for this, you know, it's the sort of way that I recorded a lot of my albums anyway. We don't have bass on, and I'm fine with that. So then I've got a good sort of idea of what the songs are sounding like now. Again, lyrics start to materialize around this time. Everything pretty much is from dreams. So the song about my Umbro school bag, I had a dream where I was on the bus still, and you know, right, so that's going in. You know, all these different things, and I like to when I have a concept of something, I like to pump a lot of metaphor into there as well, so people can read the lyrics and take them, you know, whichever way they want. Hopefully there's a little bit of philosophical wisdom in there as well. So yeah, they start to go, I start to figure out the patterns, where things, the more I listen to the songs, and yeah, and then eventually time to record the vocals. So I came down to my humble little shed here and recorded the quiet vocals, because obviously I don't want to upset the neighbours doing the harsh ones in here and they think there's someone being murdered. So yeah, I did the sort of the clean or quiet vocals in here, and then I rented out the village hall. It's probably the first time they've ever had anyone recording extreme metal vocals in that, but I rented the village hall out to do the harsher, nastier stuff, and managed not to offend anyone, so that's always a bonus considering how nasty some of them can sound. And yeah, I think that comes to the pretty much a conclusion of how I made that album. Straight from the subconscious, a lot of it, basically. If you're thinking about doing something like this, best piece of advice is to, number one, don't care about what anyone else fucking says or whatever. Just get it out, follow your heart, follow truth, do good, let it flow, and you might end up with, you know, something like this. I think that's about it. I think I've covered everything that might inspire hopefully someone else to make some more, explore music in this way or another way, as it's a fascinating world that we live in. Cheers.